You know, folks, I really do believe there will come a time, say 10 to 15 years from now, that we will look back at this era and we will hate JD Vance more than we ever did Donald Trump. I've been thinking more and more about this, especially the more I see come out of JD's mouth and the more I realize just how dangerous he truly is. I say to myself, one day we're going to look back and we're going to say, yeah, we really hated Trump. He was terrible. But damn it, he paved the way for JD Vance, and JD Vance is even worse. I think back to when George W. Bush first left office. When he first left, I thought we will never have a president who I dislike more. And then along came Donald Trump, and he's so bad he made Dick Cheney look like a voice of reason. So it makes you sit and wonder, what's it going to be like in another 10 to 15 years when the dust is settled and we're looking back on this moment in time? I have a feeling we're still going to be going on about how much disdain we have for JD Vance, because I think deep down he's way worse. And recently he did a very generic Dollar General impression of Trump. No, he didn't try to sound like him, but he tried to throw an insult at Alex Padilla by just going hard in the paint with his racism and calling him Jose. Take a look.
The New York Times just did a story. They keep getting handcuffed, suggesting that the Trump administration is cracking down on Democrats. Can you comment on that?
Well, I was hoping Jose Padilla would be here to ask a question, but unfortunately, I guess he decided not to show up because there wasn't the theater. And that's all it is. You know, I think everybody realizes that's what this is. It's pure political theater. These guys show up. They want to be captured on camera doing something. They want to be able to go back to their far left groups and to say, look, me, I stood up against border enforcement. I stood up against Donald Trump. When all they're really standing up for is for drug cartels to run rampant over our country and sex traffickers to be able to continue to traffic little kids into our country. That's what you're doing when you stand against border enforcement. So I think these guys, we ought to laugh them out of the building. We ought to call them out for doing what they're doing, which is grandstanding. And if they want to work seriously on border enforcement and on keeping their communities safe, the Trump administration's door is wide open. But they're not doing that. They'd love the grandstanding. They hate law enforcement because they hate the idea of the United States of America having a border. It's a disgrace, but it is what it is. We'll do one more question.
He is the last person that should ever accuse anyone of political theater or cosplay, because Donald Trump has cosplayed his entire career. He came down to West Virginia, put on a coal mining hat, and gave a thumbs up. He's cosplayed as coal miners, fry cooks, garbage men. Recently he had a big military parade and had to make it all about him. They are all about political theater. And we've all saw Kristi Noem. I mean, she can't get in front of a camera that she's not decked out in her cosplay garb. So for him to try to sit there and say that it's all about political theater is absolutely laughable. He's the one that should be laughed out of the room. And then he wants to take it and twist it to, they're trying to come after the violent criminals. They're trying to come after the gang members and all the thugs, and the Democrats are standing in the way, and they're letting all these evil people into the country. That's not what's happening at all. What Democrats are doing is standing up for workers. What Democrats are doing is standing up for people who have been part of their community and built their community, and they're being sent out of this country with no due process. The Constitution is being shredded right in front of their faces. These people are going to Home Depots. They're going to places of business. They're yanking people out. For years, they always told us they didn't have a problem with people coming here illegally. That's what they've always said. Now, suddenly, they've completely changed their tune, and they're going after the person who's bringing you your favorite dish down at the Mexican restaurant. That's who they're going for now. So they can't sit here and tell us that, oh, it's not about we want people to be here legally. No, they don't, because all they would have to do is just help these people become legal, and then it would be okay, but they're not doing that. They're painting everyone as criminals, everyone as thugs, and throwing them out of the country without due process, and people are sick and tired of it. People are sick and tired of seeing communities busted up and people sent out of this country. That's what they're standing against. But Alex Padilla did reply to J.P. Mandel's ridiculous racism. I call him that because that's what Donald Trump ended up slipping up and calling him on the campaign trail. But by the way, for somebody who can't get someone's name right, just for the record, his name is not JD Vance, it's actually JD Bowman. But yeah, he will never tell you that. Anyway, let's hear Alex Padilla's response to all this bullshit.
Vice President JD Vance served with you in the Senate for multiple years. He is currently the president of the Senate where you serve. He also went to Yale. I assume that he knows your name is Alex Padilla. Your response to him calling you Jose?
Oh, he knows my name. He knows my name. Look, sadly, it's just an indicator of how petty and unserious this administration is. But he's the vice president of the United States. You think he'd take the situation in Los Angeles more seriously? You know, you think maybe he'd take a moment to talk to some of the families who have been impacted, have been terrorized, to feel what's really going on the ground. You saw him shaking hands with Marines, but did he listen to the Marines? Because we have, you know, report after report of the Marines, so many of the Marines themselves that don't want to be there. That's not why they enlisted.
Trust me, J.D. Bowman knew that his name is Alex Padilla, but he called him Jose just to throw out the racism and to create political theater. So again, it's absolutely absurd for him to try to say that they're all doing it for theater when that's what MAGA has always been built upon. And we need to always stand up and call these things out when they happen, because what's going to happen as we go forward, folks, I hate to inform you of this, but it's going to get a whole lot worse, because the people that comes after Donald Trump, and going back to what I said at the start of this video when I said there will come a day where we'll hate Vance more than we do Trump, it's because people like that, as they go forward, they're going to double down even harder on everything that they've seen and heard Donald Trump say and do. They're going to double down even harder, because they're going to see what he's been able to get away with, and they're going to continue to push the boundaries. If you think that Donald Trump has shredded the Constitution, trust me, JD Bowman, Vance, whatever the hell you want to call him, he is going to be out there shredding it even harder. If you think Donald Trump has spewed racism and bigotry and transphobia and homophobia, JD Vance is going to come even harder in the paint with it and push it even harder. Why? Because he saw Donald Trump get away with it, and because they're working so hard to make that the norm. Because if they could stir up their base and keep everybody hating everybody else, and if they could paint anyone they disagree with as a criminal, as a gang member, as a violent person, if they can set and paint people that way and keep the country divided, that's the only way that they win. We can win these things if we show up and vote. We can win these things if we get enough people inspired to stand up against this madness. But if we let them muddy the water and we let them flood the zone to the point that we all just decide to stay home, or we say, well, both sides are the same, stop with that shit. Both sides are not the same. Even the Democratic Party, with all of the faults that it has, and we can make video after video criticizing the Democratic Party. The reason why that I don't is because the threat that MAGA truly is to our democracy. And on the Democratic Party's absolute worst day, they're light years head and shoulders better than Donald Trump or MAGA would ever be. So when people says to me, well, I don't know, I think I may just stay home or write in a third party, that way of thinking got us Donald Trump in the first place. That way of thinking got the Supreme Court stacked 6-3. That way of thinking got Roe versus Wade overturned. That way of thinking paved the way for them to give him immunity for official acts and allow him to be a dictator on day one. So to everybody that said Hillary didn't do enough or Kamala didn't do enough, you've got someone that is light years worse. And no matter who comes up, whether it's someone on the far left, middle of the road, moderate, whatever, whoever is coming next to run against JD Vance or Donald Trump, they're already light years ahead of them. And don't let people always shit on the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is who gave you Social Security, Medicaid and Medicare, voting rights, civil rights. We've always been on the right side of history every step of the way. There's been times that we didn't get it right. There's been times that we completely lost connection. But we can get it back if we get back to talking about the issues at hand and driving those points home and standing up against this madness. And all that MAGA is political theater built on hatred, bigotry, and racism. If they can keep everybody mad and everybody divided, that's the only way they thrive. That's the only way they win. So you have to take that away from them. You have to get back down to the issues at hand. You have to be reasonable. You have to look at it and weigh it and go, what have we got? And in 4 years, if Donald Trump actually leaves, and I hate to say it, but I don't have much faith that he will, but if he goes away and we're stuck with JD Vance, trust me, you're going to be hating Vance more than you ever hated Trump when you see just how low Vance will go. And he is Project 2025's golden boy. He is their darling. He is the one that's going to be going even harder to try to get all these things done. So whoever comes out on our side, on the winning side, we better saddle up and get behind them, because no matter who it is, they're a way bigger voice of reason than JD Vance will ever be.